Why do smart, capable entrepreneurs and investors and coaches put off doing the very things that could really move them forward? Our guest today has some strong opinions and some practical answers. Why do we procrastinate? That's what we're talking about today on the Sub2 Deals Show. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Sub2 Deals Show, where we talk about all things subject to. Now, occasionally we will talk about other topics, but it's always something to help you with your real estate investing business. Now, if you've been in the real estate or coaching space longer than 5 minutes, you've probably heard of Tom Krol. He's the founder of Wholesaling Inc, Coaching Inc, a best-selling author, and someone who believes in taking massive, imperfect action. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. So we'd like to welcome Tom to the Sub2 Deals Show. Welcome, dude.
Bam! How are you, brother?
Man, I am finer than frog hair. So I hope you're the same.
It's good to see you. I just saw your intro, and I love it because I said, "Oh, I wore the right shirt today." It's like this. We dress the same. We go to the same stores. I love it.
You know, I almost wore plaid today. Just for you. And look at you, man. You're not wearing plaids.
I do wear quite a bit of plaid. I think my closet, I need to maybe update it a little bit. of showing my age a little.
Hey, well, listen, I know you and thousands of other people do, but for anybody that may not, tell everybody about Tom.
Tom Krol, let's see. I have the same origin story as every other successful person, right? I started off, I didn't do well. I got fired from every job, blah, 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 blah. I barely graduated high school. My key to fame is I never broke 1,000 on my SAT, and it was untimed. So, so I really struggled, and let's see, went to college. The only college that would take me, which was in Arkansas, got my girlfriend pregnant in the first semester, who's now my wife, and we have 5 children, and he's in medical school, had a full scholarship for undergrad, which is awesome. So that all worked out okay. But now we've got Logan, Lacey, Lily, Lucas, and Levi, and our dog Luna. And it's been a great adventure. And ever since I found entrepreneurship, have not looked back. I love it.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And you're right. I have found that most successful people have a horrible backstory. I mean, it's just, whether it's like me, I quit school in 9th grade. Okay.
There you go. There you go.
That's what I mean.
I always say that, when you have my kid made the honor roll bumper sticker, I want to get one that says, A students, be nice to C students. One day you're going to work for us.
That's exactly right. And I can really relate to that. I had a girl when I was in the restaurant industry, and I had a girl that worked for me during summers and Christmas vacations because she went to college. So she'd leave, she'd go away to college, and she graduated in 4 years, had this advanced degree, and came back and worked for me in the restaurant as a manager. It was amazing.
There you go. I'm telling you, it's funny. Right before this started, we were talking about the course on AI that I'm going to try to give to some of my kids so I could get them out of college track. One is going to become a doctor, so he's in medical school. That one has to do what he has to do. But the rest of them, we're going to avoid it like the plague. But we'll see what Julie has to say about that.
Right. Okay. Well, great. So I wanted to get you on here today because I know you, and I've heard you say this, and you said it actually in a post that I read even this week, that preparation is a form of procrastination.
Yes.
And I know you've seen this. You've trained countless real estate investors and now coaches too, that people there's always a reason they have to get ready to get ready. And when you say that preparation is a form of procrastination, what exactly do you mean by that?
It's comfortable, right? So I'll give you a perfect example. I just the other day, this is something that we have to do again and again, and it's hard to learn it. We always have to do it, and we have to remind ourselves. Even I have all these principles. I've got 88 principles that I've developed over, after all these thousands of students, and they're all real world, like from the trenches, how to get people results. One of the things that I saw was, and I thought it was logistical, but it's not logistical, it's emotional, was people will do anything to not do the uncomfortable stuff that gets results. All the stuff that gets results is awkward. And I started to realize that no one has built anything great. No one has ever built anything great without having awkward conversations and without taking difficult things. And the bottom line is, all of the people, if you take the top 200, 300, 400 people I've ever coached and you put them in a room and you say, well, what did you do differently? They would do things like, when I was coaching real estate, they would say, well, Tom, I didn't have the module with the contract. So I took a piece of paper from the homeowner's printer and I had them sign that. Can I use that at the title company? So it's always this premature, massive, imperfect action. And the people who were struggling the most, who weren't getting results, they were always in a season of doing the things that made them feel like they were working hard, listening to podcasts, designing a logo, picking a really cool domain name that matched their LLC, or buying a conference table, leasing office space. Building a funnel, whatever the heck that is, right? Like just hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And they feel like they're working, right? They feel like, but work is revenue, right? Revenue in first position. You got to seek discomfort. Whenever you start that day, you got to just say, what's most uncomfortable? And then that's where you got to dive in. And I think the reality is that a lot of people are a lot more comfortable than they think they are. They don't want it as bad as they do, as bad as they think they want it. And that's really the game changer, because the reality is, if I kidnap someone you loved and I said the ransom is you got to go get a paying client, or you got to go get a house under contract, you'd stop everything. You'd get out of Starbucks or Panera Bread and stop listening to the podcast, and you would go and knock on a door, or make a phone call, or make a sale, or collect a credit card. The real problem with progress, not perfection, or being in a season of preparation, is most people don't really want it as bad as they think they want it. And I think that's why you and I have stories where we didn't finish school, or we didn't break 1,000 on SAT. I think we get to a point where all the greatest men and women I know of consequence, they hit rock bottom and they're just like, that's enough. I'm going to go out and do it no matter what. And that's the kind of attitude. We weren't comfortable when we got started, for the most part. I know, at least for myself. And I remember the day when I came home and Julie's crying, and she had the bathroom door locked, and she's crying in the bathroom about not being able to pay the mortgage or buy groceries. And she, and I called my brother, Todd Toback, and I said, I am going to do this, or you're coming to my funeral, because I'm going to die trying. And that was it. And then I was off to the races. That's what the difference is between preparation and progress.
You just said something then that really supports what's always been my idea on who's going to be successful and who won't. Now, if you coach a lot of people, and this has been my experience, you tell me what you think. The people that seem to have the easiest time becoming successful are the people who are miserable, who have a horrible existence right now. They hate their job. They hate what they do. People, like, if someone comes to me and says, I want to learn how to invest in real estate, and they have a really good job, and they make really good money, and they're comfortable in their life, they have a harder time making that transition than someone that says, listen, I can't pay my bills. I can't buy the things for my family that they need. They're at that rock bottom place. They can only go up.
Well, yeah, and I think that, it's funny. I can say this now, and I really wasn't able to say it back then, but I can say it now, is that when I was coaching real estate, the reality is, Tom, when did you do your first real estate deal? Because Todd was telling me about real estate. My older brother, my stepbrother, he was telling me about real estate for years and how great it is. And I said, oh, you live in California. I live in Florida. You have a bigger population. The houses are more expensive. There's more houses. It's a whole different animal. They're more, everything was different. When did I do my first deal? After I got fired. And I used to tell my students, well, save up, because my attorneys would say, well, you can't tell people to quit their job and go into real estate. But here's the reality. The people who wanted it, the people who were fired, the people who, and those are the ones who did it. I couldn't say that, because you can't go around as a coach telling people quit your job. But here's what I'll tell you. We are stronger than we think we are. We are more beautiful. We're more handsome. We're more intelligent. We're grittier. We have more of all the things that we need. The reality is we just don't want it bad enough. But when you hit that rock bottom, what a lot of people don't tell you too is that there's a trap door on rock bottom, and you could just keep going down. If at some point you have to just say enough, and you got to get rid of a fear of success, and you got to just go and embrace who you are and do what you got to do. But yeah, brother, that is, William, I'm telling you, that's for me. Tony Robbins teaches us that decisions are made in an instant, right? And I just think that at a certain point, you just get to a point where you're fed up and you're not afraid of success anymore. And when that happens, you just go.
Right. It's time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's time to go. There's a great line in the movie. It's by Harrison. Harrison Ford is the general, and it's called Endgame is the name of the movie. And they're sending a soldier to war, and the psychologist comes in for the soldier and says he's not ready. And Harrison Ford says, "We're never ready. We go when we're ready enough." And the reality is, I've coached thousands of people, and what I can tell you is, I have all these new gurus. They talk about fear of failure, I've never met. I could probably on one hand count entrepreneurs who have a fear of failure. Never happens, right? Mm-hmm. It's the fear of success. I think people know in their belly that when they're in the herd, when they're in the pack, when they're in the school of fish, that the fish that swims outside is more vulnerable. But I will tell you, that's what it takes. You got to you have to just realize that yes, there is some danger from leaving the whole entire herd, but when you do, life is great. Like Scott Alexander teaches us in Rhinoceros Success, there's safety on the farm, and you can get milked every week, and then and then eventually you get put to the slaughterhouse, and there is some, I guess, safety in knowing what's going to happen day to day. But I'd rather break through the fence, be in the jungle as a rhinoceros, and that's it for me.
Well, that's part of that whole fear thing. And what you say is true, the fear of success. And I know you're going to be judged either way, whether you're successful or you fail. But it's that crab in the barrel principle. I know you're familiar with that. You go in the seafood place and they say, well, there's not a lid on the barrel. What keeps the crabs from crawling out? Well, one tries to get out and the rest pull them back down.
Right.
Man, it's tough to do something different. I remember when I got started, I was embarrassed to put magnetics on my car, and drive around and buy houses. But I'll tell you what, that first $50,000 deal I got off those, I got over my worry about that pretty quick.
Brother, right? I mean, that is where it's so funny. I really went through a season of caring what other people thought about me that just held me back for so long. And not just for things I didn't do, but for stupid things that I did. Just like building up my credit score so I could finance a car. It's like, what in the world? I mean, I'm going to just talk to your audience here for a second. Guys, wealthy people, right? There's a difference between the rich and the poor, right? The poor save, the rich invest, right? The poor, it's about how much cash they can leave. There's all these things that the poor and the rich do. The poor always constantly focus on cash flow. The rich are focused on cash flow and net worth. But one of the things is never, ever, 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 ever lease or finance a car. Guys, I am telling you, if there is one thing, forget real estate, forget coaching, literally, please do not do that. And if you have, and are causing so much suffering right now around the people you love by doing that, bring the car back. Bring it back. I am telling you, that is like that. If there's one thing that I see consistently, but anyway, not to get off topic, but that's the fear of success. It causes you to do things and to not do things. And one of them is you really care what people think. Right. And I would also say, I don't think it's that wealthy people don't care what people think. I think it's more true to say that wealthy people don't care what your opinion is when they feel like they're on the right track. And they only take feedback from the people who love them, pay them, they pay, regulate their industry, and have already achieved the results they want. So the thing about a poor person or a person who's struggling, they care about everyone's opinion, the neighbor, this guy, that guy.
Right.
Wealthy people have a reduced amount of people whose opinion they care about. So it's not that they don't care at all, right? Certainly we take showers and we don't have BO, right? But we do have some, but I'll tell you what, that car, for me anyway, that was the real thing. Like that, I wanted to get the new car, with finance it if I could afford the monthly payment. No. That's not. Yeah.
So I can relate to so many of these things that you're saying. When we decided initially 26 years ago to make the switch and start investing in real estate, my wife at the time and we had 2 kids. They were small, under 10. And we owned a house like everybody else does. You qualify for, well, today it'd be a $300,000 house, but the agent shows you 350 because we can push it a little bit,
Right.
But you're in that house, you're barely making it. You sell your vacations to have extra money. You charge Christmas up, you pay it off with your tax refund in January. And that's how you live if you're lucky. But when we went all in, we sold our house, we moved into an apartment.
Right.
Didn't get a new car that year. And it's funny, all your friends, the people you go to church with, the people your bowling league, whoever, they look at you strange and they say, when are you going to buy a house again? And I was driving this 1985 Chevy Blazer with like 250,000 miles on it.
Beautiful.
The headliner was gone, those kind of
things. Of course. Yeah.
I would pick my, at the time, 5-year-old up at church daycare, and the lady that would put him in the car would look at my car like, oh, what are you doing here at our location? Anyway, but then a couple of years later, when we had put in that time, and then we bought one of the nicest homes in that part of town,
right,
and a new car and this and that, then people are like, now what are you doing? What is it that you're doing now?
Right.
So then they're interested. So it's really funny. And somebody told me once, you can't worry about what anybody thinks about you. And it goes along to the lines of what you say about those people that you should pay any attention to. But this person was a little more simplistic. They said, nobody's opinion matters to me unless they're paying my bills. Then their opinion might matter a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think, it took me a long time. This was, of my 88 principles, this is a top 10. This is rule number 5. And it took me a long time to really understand who I should be. I was just getting feedback, and I noticed people who struggle get feedback from everyone's opinion is equally weighed. And I realized, hey, look, if it's my mom or dad, yeah, right. If it's one of my employees, I darn well better pay attention. If it's one of my paying clients, if it's somebody who regulates my industry, or if it's somebody who is like, they're already right. If Orrin Woodward, one of my mentors, recommends a book to me, I'm reading that book, right? Like, one of my favorite books of all time was recommended by Orrin, right? So, I think that really is the difference. Is I do have reverence, respect, and I am humble enough to listen and pay attention, but it's a limited group of people, and the neighbors and the people at church and the this and that and the rumorville and when I was struggling, I really put a lot of weight into that, so much so. I mean, it was really my driver. My main driver was like, even silly things. I mean, I'm just thinking back as I'm talking about it, but like even things like when you're out at a restaurant and the other people at the tables and what are my kids doing? And I'm like, I don't care unless my kids are, doing something wrong. Right. But for the most part, I mean, I just don't care. Like, it takes a season, right? But that's really the secret to success.
Yeah.
And to wealth.
And isn't that freeing just to get past? And if you're like me, I'm sure most, you still slip into that every once in a while, caring, too much. You have to catch yourself, and you know what, I'm doing okay.
Well, some of the rooms that you and I are in, I mean, I still do, I know, but I would say, yeah, so that is true. I still do slip up, but I'm not, for the most part, I would say, to me, so the way I define success and wealth, right, is that wealth is an external comparison to other people, right? So with wealth, you have to have more options and better options than someone else, right? So it could be you have more money, more health, more transportation, mobility, network, friends, relationships, whatever, right? Success is an internal comparison to your ideal, as far as I'm concerned, right? So who's more successful on this call? Who knows, right? I don't know your ideal, you don't know mine. But what I noticed was the people, and I really, I was very fortunate to get to know Robert Kiyosaki, and I just noticed that they absolutely fall into this camp, right? To have success and wealth, you can't be ruled by the opinions of other people, and you'll never be able to have success and wealth if you are, because you will never be able to ask for the credit card, ask for the contract, have an awkward conversation, tell somebody they're fired, hire somebody, or if you're a people pleaser or a doormat, and you're the opposite, like you're too angry and you have a short fuse, right? I think that it really holds back a lot of potentially successful people.
Right. Now, I want to ask you about something, because I've heard you say this 1,000 times, I think, already. You like to say revenue in first position.
Yes.
How do you feel like that will help you shut procrastination down?
There are, as far as I'm concerned, I have 88 principles, right? My principles are, they have to, in order to be one of my principles, they have to hit 4 criteria marks. They have to, number 1, always be true, meaning there's never a time when it's not true. The inverse has to be also true, as true or more true, meaning if you don't do this, you're going to have the outcome you don't want. It has to act as a compass, meaning I have a decision I have to make in business, and I need to make right or left, north or south, east or west. I need to choose a path, and a principle has to tell me that. So it can't just be generalized philosophy. And number 4 is it has to be important or significant enough that I would teach it to my children. Mm-hmm. Of all the 88 principles, Tom, why revenue in first position, right? What about people over profits and blah, 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 blah. Let me say this, right? If I guarantee, I want everybody to hear this, because I am happy to defend this position, because I am the most loving, giving, caring, compassionate person you'll ever meet, right? I'm definitely Mr. Rogers over Mr. T. But your obligation, the lifeblood of the business, is revenue, 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 revenue. I don't care. I don't want to know about your stupid logo. I don't care about, nobody cares about the name of your company, your domain name. Nobody cares about the office. You have to put others first. Putting revenue first is how you are a professional pointed out towards other. Putting anything other than revenue first, you're pointed in towards your own personal preferences. What is a business? A business reduces your suffering by reducing the suffering of other people. That's what it does. If I want you to be a miserable person to your clients, to have low customer satisfaction, to not be a good member of your community, to not be a good business leader, to disrespect and not be a good team leader to your team, and to disappoint your employees, all I have to do is just every day, I just need to reduce your revenue a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, until it's gone. And I guarantee you, there's no such thing as people over profits. I guarantee you, everyone will be upset with you. Your team, your clients, your family, right? What are you doing all day if your businesses aren't driving revenue? And if you're not driving revenue, what value are you bringing to other people? Are you too scared to ask for money, or are you just not providing a good service, right? So revenue in first position is a focus with all of my private clients, my consulting clients, my group clients. I don't care who you are. Your job, your day starts with revenue. It's either who owes me money that I can call to collect, and I can bring AR, accounts receivable, forward. What is a sales call that I need to get somebody on the phone right now and break through all the stupid CRM 2 weeks notice they need to think about it and talk to their spouse. Garbage, 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 right? So what is that? Or if I don't have those first 2, then what is the activities that generate the revenue? Do you have to do that yourself? No. Does your company? Yes. So after a season, you can create a process or a system that you can delegate to other people. But your business starts with revenue in first position. Don't do anything until you bring in a credit card. Don't set up an Excel spreadsheet, move CRM fields around. Don't do nothing. You don't need a website. You don't need a product. You don't need a service. You don't need anything. If you can't get on the phone right now with somebody and close them in exchange for your help with whatever's between your two ears before you have a website or a product or anything, then entrepreneurship is going to be a struggle. So what I would suggest is start your day with revenue in first position. That's automatically going to remove procrastination and preparation, and it's going to cause you to take massive imperfect action. This is this. If you want to know the secret, if you've been trying to, punch through to the next level, if you've been struggling, if you've been in this season of like having a pity party and, oh, my parents, and my this and that, and put revenue in first position. As soon as you hear this, first thing tomorrow morning, don't do nothing until you collect a credit card or a check or whatever it is that you have to do. That's your obligation as an owner to your team, to your community, to your family, to your business, to your clients, is revenue. I cannot stress this enough. This is the core problem. People are out there building webinars and seminars and funnels and tunnels and paid ads and a website and and busy. And the kid has no college savings account. It's like, what is happening? Like, it's a weird psychosis. I don't know what is, like, somebody needs to be like, hello, wake up, guys. You need revenue right now. Please do revenue. And then we'll talk about other stuff first. I know it sounds crazy, but brother, like, you'd be surprised. The conversations about mountains and mountains of preparation, a lifetime, years, 2-3 years. I don't know what's happening, Tom. I just can't seem to get it together. It's like, well, have you tried making a sale? That would be the first thing. And that's the best feedback, right? Rule number 5 is it's the 5 people you should take feedback, right? From it's love you, pay, regulate your industry, or where you want to be. One of them is the people who pay you. That if you are not taking feedback from the people who paid you, who is building your products and services? You have to sell it and then let them build it. Don't practice the BS method of I'm going to build it and then I'm going to try to sell it. Nobody does that. You don't build it and then try to sell it. You sell it and then you let them help you build it. That's the key.
Yep. So what is one daily ritual or habit that you think would help someone stop delaying and just get started?
Well, rule number 8 is reading. And that's reading is, and if you're struggling with this, I would certainly read Steven Pressfield's The War of Art, which is one of the best books ever written. It's one of my top 10 books. But, and again, I would also say this, if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm not a reader, guys, let me just say this. Nobody in the history of time, in 6,000 years of recorded history, nobody has ever read a book and then said, I just listened to a book. But millions of people have recently said, I just read a book, when they've actually listened. Why do you think that is, right? Because reading a book is more difficult than listening to a book. So they want the credit for reading. So Audible is great. There's nothing wrong with it. But don't believe the lies that you were told as a kid. If you can read street signs, you can read a book. 8 pages a day. Make that commitment and start doing it. Because if you want to stop procrastinating, you need to. I know your brain is an organ and not a muscle, but you need to increase the size of the muscle that is your motivator to actually go out and do things and to be prepared for rejection and disappointment and distraction and everything else that's keeping you from taking action. So get some good books. It's not how many books you read, it's how many times you reread the same books. Don't pick your own books or you'll end up with something like The Secret, God forbid, or something that's going to completely take you down a total like no action rabbit hole, right? So listen to your mentors, right? Listen to William, the books that he suggests, read those books. Don't pick your own books. For your first 100 books, do not pick them and just commit to 8 pages per day. And that is going to light a fire. And don't wait till the end of the day to read. Read in the morning when your eyes are still just adjusting to the daylight. Read then when you have energy. Keep a book right by your bed and try to get through your 8 pages as fast as possible. And that will prompt some in your workday to start with revenue, because it'll give you some clarity about what to do and who you are and what's important and how to be pointed out towards others instead of pointed in towards your own personal preferences and what you like to do and what feels comfortable for you.
You say that about The Secret. Are you not a fan of the manifesting?
Oh my goodness, brother. There's only 2 people who recommend The Secret. People who are literally, absolutely, totally, 100% completely dead broke, or people who are absolutely billionaires who are like, Well, it was a secret. Well, yeah, I mean, I know, but it's because you took a lot of massive imperfect action too. So I think sometimes billionaires like not Orrin, like Oprah Winfrey will, they'll say something like, "Oh, the secret." Well, yeah, but guys, Oprah Winfrey doesn't even have any children. Her whole entire existence in life is working 25 hours a day, 370 days a year,
Right.
nonstop for decades, right?
Yeah.
So yes, it's true that you have to like will it, but then you have to take a lot of action. I just find that the secret is just one of many, but there's a lot. Here's what I would say. I don't want to pick on the secret because I know some people like it, but most books are either trying to sell you something, or they're feeding the ego of the author, or they're complete garbage, new age stuff that doesn't work. All the best principles are 3,000 years old, right? They don't change. We see them again and again. There's different interpretations of them, and there's variations on how they're explained. But take rule number 8 of reading. There's not a dissenting opinion in all of history. There's nobody who says, well, you shouldn't read. That's the one thing that if you do that, things are going to go wrong, right? So there's a reason it's a top 10 rule, because it's so powerful. It was actually held back from some societies and cultures because they knew how powerful it was, right? It literally will physically change your brain. It creates new neurons, connections. And I mean, it's incredible. So, I struggled for years and I wasn't a reader. And then I went to a Sean Terry conference in Atlanta over a decade ago now. And they were like, oh, well, you have to read. If you're not a reader, don't even try. Like that, basically the message was, if you're not reading, you don't have to try this stuff. It's not going to work. And I was like, oh, this is pretty serious. And I had a few people, one of the books I was recommended to me within a 24-hour period, 3 times was The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity by Edwin Gaines. It's one of the first books I've ever read. It wasn't the very first. I also like Rhinoceros Success and a few others, but that book was phenomenal. That book works. And I learned a lot out of that book. And then, we went from there. But if you're not going to read, it's going to be tough to have any kind of real wealth or success. And even if you do get it, you have a very good chance of becoming a hyper spender, and a hyper spender will always kind of find their way back to zero. You see this as a repeating pattern. So if you want to stop procrastinating and get out of your own way, start reading and start with the War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. It's a great book.
Yeah. I've never heard you say this, and I haven't heard all 88 of your rules, but it sounds like some of your rules may be founded in a little bit of Stoic philosophies or principles.
Yeah, I think so. I'm a big fan of Ryan Holiday. I've read all of his books. My favorite one actually is one that's not very popular, but I drove down to the Painted Porch it's outside of Austin, Texas, is his bookstore. But he'll say that one of his most well-written books is Conspiracy, which I strongly recommend. This is one of my favorite books of all time. And it's essentially the story of Hulk Hogan and how the story about him with Gawker magazine and how Peter Thiel took down Gawker magazine via the Hulk Hogan case. And it's called Conspiracy. It is the most well-written book I've ever read. It is phenomenal in every way that a book can be. It's a game changer. But I have read all of Ryan's books. Ego is the Enemy is a great book. And actually, that's not true. I haven't read his latest book that just came out. But all of it, I think everything written by Ryan Holiday is pretty much a must read. The Obstacle is the Way, obviously, is one of the best books. I think that's, it's a top 10 book. I would say they're Stoic. I would say they're ancient. One of my favorite books of all time is Business Secrets from the Bible by Daniel Lapin. It's absolutely every single law is, he talks about the disproportionate way the Jewish population is always the wealthiest portion of each society that they move into, and why. And it's because they're following these ancient principles of money and wealth and success. And he just unpacks them in a super succinct way that's easy to understand. But the reality is that if you really want to have wealth, which to me is more options and better options than other people, and you really want to have success, which to me is a good night's sleep, right? Whatever your definition of success is, it's some variation of I want to go to bed at night, put my head on the pillow, and fall asleep with peace, not with crippling anxiety and depression. Then I think you have to follow the ancient principles, and I think the best books are always rehashing in new ways the ancient principles. And the new stuff that comes out, it tends to lead a lot of people astray, or it's just a sales book, meaning, I won't name any authors, but people that you and I know who were great in the 90s have recently written stuff. And you're like, what is this 385-page sales pitch for some, investment fund? It's like, oh my gosh, there is no value in this book at all. So I think that, but man, I could talk on that all day. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, you mentioned something a couple of minutes ago that I wanted to ask you about. I told you we were going to try to include a lot of the things that you talk about a lot. And you talk a lot about massive imperfect action. So give us a real world example of what that would look like today. Since most of our audience is investors. If you're a new investor, what is massive imperfect action? What's that look like for a new investor?
Sure. Massive imperfect action means taking action before you're fully prepared or you understand what you're doing. And it's also understanding to know that you're never going to understand what you do. And it's also an understanding that your first iteration of something, I don't care how much prep. My son is going to medical school right now, right? He got his undergrad. Now he's in medical school. I don't want to be his first patient because the first iteration, right, is not going to be as good as his 100th patient, right? And that's not just my son. That's all people in medical school. Right. So what I would say is this. I'll give you a real world example. My first deal ever was in my city, and the homeowner called me. I didn't even understand what wholesaling was at the time. I didn't even understand what is this thing, the contract, am I closing? What happens if the buyer pulls out? Am I going to be legally brought to court and have to buy the house? I mean, I was scared to death, right? And my brother was using all these big words, right? Arbitrage and equity and ROI and blah, blah, blah. Oh no, what was not ROI? What was the one? ARV, right? I was like, what is he talking about? I have no idea. So what did I do? I would call him for help, and he would say, do this and do this and this. He told me to first send out all these postcards because at that time direct mail was really good. I did that. I made a huge mistake. I sent the postcard for the sellers to the postcard for the buyers. So wasted $1,000 that I didn't have. Massive imperfect action. I made the best of it by adding people to my cash buyer list. Then I had a golf cart at the time. I sold it for my next mailing, and I got that out. This lady, Dorothy, called me. I had no idea what I was doing. I got to the house. There was a real estate agent there, and she was trying to decide to list the house with the agent or sell the house, put the house under contract with me as a wholesaler. I was just doing the best I could. The thing that I think was really good is that you have to, and I don't mean this because I'm a good person. I'm not a good person. I make mistakes all the time, right? The flesh is, for all of us, we all have all our own problems, right? But I think that honesty, when you are in a season of progress, not perfection, honesty is really good because honesty reduces the pressure of the situation. So instead of BSing, I would just be I don't know. Here's the deal. And the agent was like, well, all he's going to do is put this house under contract and sell the contract for a profit. I was like, a big profit. And I remember that that moment, I was like, when I said that, because she said, oh, can you please leave? I'm going to sell the house to Tom. And I think that, and I didn't know what I was doing. As a matter of fact, on my first deal, I forgot to tell the buyer about an assignment fee. So I followed the buyer back to his home. He took money out of his safe to pay me $2,000 for the assignment of the contract. Because we went around the table and we were like, well, I said, who's going to pay the assignment fee? And they're like, not me. And the seller's like, not me. And the buyer's like, not me. And I was like, well, almost. So I think that's how, and you have to just do it with a good attitude. And you have to really, I think you just make a decision that you're going to put yourself out there and you're just going to make it happen. And I think that's so important. I mean, I think, that's what Angela Duckworth Duckberry talks about in the book Grit. It's like, you just got to go for it. Life is short. You don't want to have suffer and because you care about what everybody at the closing table thinks about you. You don't want to say anything about an assignment fee at the last minute that you forgot about because it's your first deal. You just got to Go out there with a good attitude, be honest, work hard. You're going to make mistakes, but you're going to make mistakes if you prepare for 5 years. You're going to make mistakes anyway, so you might as well just go make mistakes. All knowledge comes from experience. Albert Einstein teaches us that, right? Like it's when even in my coaching relationships, I always tell my coaches, right? When you're coaching, it's not education first, education last. It's my instruction plus your massive imperfect action equals a result equals your education. Education is at the end. You have to earn education. You want to listen to this podcast? Go get revenue first. You have to earn this podcast. You don't have the luxury of sitting down and listening to this podcast unless you have revenue. Like, stop preparing. Pause the podcast now. Go get on the phone. Like, you got to make it happen. This feel-good education, it could last for 5 years, for a decade, and it's just going to cause so much suffering in your life. You don't want that. That's not why you're in business. That's not why you're here. You got to go use your, it's a part of this thing too, William, with like gratitude. People, like, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. Who cares what you're grateful for? Stop talking about what you're grateful for. Grateful is a feeling, but it's also an action. If you're strong, go use your strength to help somebody and lift somebody up. If you have money, go use your money to go do good and help somebody. If you have knowledge about something, go use your knowledge to help somebody. Don't stop working on the internet about how grateful you are for everything. You're grateful for this. You're grateful for your car. You're grateful for your kids. If you're grateful for your kids, go spend time with your kids. Don't post it on Facebook, like, about how grateful you are for your kids. Like, I think people just kind of have like, they just need to like get like a I don't know what, like, the same wake up call that I had to get. It's just because you could go your whole life like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in the spirit of a massive perfect action, what is one thing somebody listening to this right now or watching it right now can get up and go do in the next hour that'll move their business forward?
Well, yes. So I'm there's nothing for sale here, but I'm going to tell you right now, get a coach. And then do exactly what that coach tells you to do. And as soon as you understand 30 to 40% of what that guy or girl is talking about, go and do it, and stop collecting information on the next step. Because if you're collecting information on step 10, when you're on step 2, all that means is you don't trust the coach. You're saying, I know he's telling me to go make a phone call or send out a direct mail or get a billboard or a radio ad or a bandit sign or a direct mail campaign, but I want to know what's going to happen on step 10 because I don't trust this guy. So get someone you trust, and then whatever they tell you to do, as soon as they say, go paint your car red, stop the video, go paint your car red. On the next module, he's going to say, make sure it's fire engine red. And you're going to say, oh man, I painted it the wrong color. With a smile, with a good attitude, go back outside. Don't have a pity party. Go back outside and paint your car the right color red. And then the next module, he's going to say, now I want you to drive around and write down addresses. And then you're going to go stop the video and do it. And then when he says, but it's got to be in this neighborhood, you're going to say, oh man, I did it in the wrong neighborhood. Go out with a smile. Be glad that you're alive. We are blessed to have mountains in front of us. Climb them. This is life. This is like what it's all about. These people who have pity parties and they feel sorry for themselves. I'm telling you, money loves speed. You have to, if you're taking massive imperfect action because you're making mistakes all over the place. Just all you have to remember is this: follow the instruction from your mentor, have a smile, don't hurt anybody, be kind, make sure all of your actions are congruent with your values, right? So don't injure anybody, don't hurt anybody, and just do what you're supposed to do every day and stay focused. Focus more on fewer things. Reduce your distractions, don't worry about your doubts and here's what I would say. Listen to billionaires speak. Warren Buffett, Peter Thiel, Charlie Munger, Bill Ackerman, Carl Icahn. Listen to billionaires speak, right? Listen to how they speak. They speak very simply, right? They use metaphors and analogies. They speak in a very childlike way. They're almost like they're in first, second, and third grade. They don't use big words, right? Listen to how they speak. You need to reduce and focus more on fewer things. Complication is a lure. Don't worry about all this other stuff. Keep it simple. Business is simple, right? It's very easy. Owners are complicated. Business is simple. But if you want to start to, it's funny. I'm cleaning out my office and I found this Inc. 500 because we were on the fastest growth 500. I was like, this is great. Like you don't get, the only reason, and this is just, I don't have this city. I've never even shown this before, except for like when it first came out, but it's because I was following simple, not principles I developed, principles that I was borrowing from people, the men and women of consequence who came before us. Simple men, simple princes, the richest man in Babylon. Don't give your money, for gems to a bricklayer. Like things I've done in the past, right? Stupid things, and just not following the ancient principles. That's what it's all about. If you want to do something right now, make sure you're learning from someone who's ahead of you, not behind you, someone who's ahead of you. And when they're telling you to do something, go and do it. And even I would recommend paying that person, because I want that kind of an exchange with them. And when they tell you to do something, do it. And here's what you're going to find. People who are further ahead of you, they understand that more for you does not mean less for them. They are more than happy to share it, but they want you to actually take action on it. If you're just going to be there and just taking, that's not going to work. Go take massive imperfect action and then say, hey, I did exactly what you said to do, and I didn't have a contract, so I put it on a piece of paper. Can I use that? And they'll say, no, let me give you the right contract. Yep. And you're on your way. That's it. It's done. The money is just a consequence. It's just nobody actually really wants money. They just want the things that money can provide. So the money is just a side effect of this. But if you chase money, it's gonna run from you. If you are under a tutelage or a mentee under a mentor, and you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're gonna be on the right road. It's simple. It's really simple. It's much simpler than people. Sometimes I tell my clients, I'm like, I don't even know why you guys pay me. Like, I'm not, this is all, everything that I'm teaching, you could learn in elementary school. There's nothing that is like, it's more of deconstructing what, or taking down the principles that aren't working.
I'm going to tell you that this last 5 minutes or so, this was a key point in the whole hour. To me, keep it simple. I think people get this idea, and that's always been my thing, keep it simple. And I tell people, listen, I've got a 9th grade education. I have to keep it simple because I'm not real smart. But they think, oh, that's too easy. That sounds too easy. That can't work. But that's not true. Simple's best. It's always best to me. Yeah. I think so anyway.
No, simple's best. If it's complicated, it's usually based in a lie. And that's, even as sometimes new real estate investors, rule number 4 is never partner when you can hire, right? So, we should partner. We were friends in high school, and my kids call him uncle, and oh my goodness, please don't simple, no partners. You don't need a partner. There's no partnerships. Just go and do a deal. Everything else in between you and doing a deal is complicated, unnecessary complications. No.
Yeah. And when it comes to teaching, I heard someone say once a long time ago, if you want to impress people, make it sound really complicated. If you want to help them, keep it really simple.
One of our rules is don't be esoteric, which means specialized knowledge to a small group of people. And when people want to sound fancy, they'll be esoteric and they'll be using big vocabulary words, inside baseball, jargon, acronyms. I wouldn't do that. I would keep it very, very, just listen to Warren Buffett speak. Any of these guys, all the billionaires, it's like you're having a conversation with a 5th grader, and people are like, well, he's just putting on an act. He's not putting on an act. They're not putting on acts. This is life. Are there some complicated things in business? Yeah. If look, you're going to get to millions of dollars in revenue. I'm going to tell you right now, you better know what the word gross profit means, or net profit, or, you have to understand that gross profit means minus the cost of goods sold, right? Like there are some things you're going to have to learn. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but it's, once you know what gross profit means, or what, ROI means, or ROAS, or KPIs. Yeah, there's a few little things, but this is not rocket science. It's the only book I read until I was 30 was Dr. Dolittle in middle school. Guys, if William and I could, this is not medical. I just went to breakfast. I went up to go hang out with Bill Allen in Tennessee, and he's such a sweetheart. He's a real estate investor. He runs 7-figure flipping, and he's a sweetheart. And we were talking, and he runs a vendor's market in his backyard on 13 acres. It's incredible. And we were sitting there, and we're just going through stuff, and it's like I come home, and on my way home, I stop in Tallahassee to have breakfast with my son, and my son, he's telling me about his day. I mean, he literally studies for like 8 hours a day. I said, how many, he uses index cards, and I was like, how many cards? He's like, thousands. And, this is not medical school, right? This is not, this is like, I mean, it could not be any easier or more. I mean, this is, I don't know how else to say it. It's like, there is nothing complicated about real estate, coaching, entrepreneurship, business. You put revenue in first position, and then you learn how to delegate. And if you don't know how to delegate, read, the E-Myth. One of my favorite books, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, right? Yeah, this is some of my books for this week, but this is The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Ordinary people, extraordinary results, right? Simple little checklists, little processes. Anybody could do it. My 16-year-old can help me put a process together for getting a contract or onboarding a new client or whatever. Simple. Breathing exercise.
Very easy. Tom, great information. Thanks so much for sharing. Tell everybody how they can get in touch with you if they're an aspiring coach or would just like to learn more.
Yeah, if you are a coach, a consultant, a course creator, if you already have clients, right? This isn't for the brand new newbie, but if you're already coaching people, helping people, we run Wholesaling Inc. It's the #1 mastermind in the entire country for coaches, course creators. We get together twice a year. William will be there. Next one is in Nashville, October 27th, 28th, 29th. And it is the top of the top. We're going to have Joe McCall, Zach Childress, Tiffany High, Bill Allen, JP Moses, Matt Andrews, Francis Ebola. I mean, on and on and on and on and on. Lori Lynn and Shanda will be there if you want to publish a book. Alric Heck is going to come from the YouTube specialist. So it is a small group, a small mastermind. We did 50. We went with 50 people in Orlando, we meet twice a year. Nashville is going to be 100 people. We keep it very small, very focused. We're going to focus this meeting on affiliate launches, local meetings and masterminds, and we're going to focus on JVs. So it's going to be a great adventure. And if anybody's interested, they just go to Wholesaling Inc, coachinginc.com. Fill out an application, and as long as you already have paying clients and you're doing the right thing, you're not doing something crazy, you're more than welcome to come in and participate. We'll have a great journey.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Jody and I we had a great time earlier this year. So
how is Jody feeling? How's her ankle?
Oh, she's great. It was a knee. She had knee surgery. Yeah, she's running around now. She's doing great. So
good. That's good to hear.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, Tom, thanks so much for being here. We're looking forward to seeing you in October, and we'll have your link and your stuff in the show notes so everybody can come check you out. So,
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, William.
All right. Thanks. Okay, guys, that's it for this episode of the Sub2 Deals Show. We appreciate you being here. And if you are listening to our podcast on Apple or Stitcher or Google or any other podcast platforms out there, we would invite you to check us out on our YouTube channel. You can do that at sub2tv.com. It's SUB, 2tv.com. We release a podcast video and some other videos every week. It's always something to help you with your real estate investing business. So guys, we appreciate you joining us. Get out there, talk to some sellers, and buy some houses.